Good day, YouTube. Today is Sunday. It's 3rd of June, 2018, and working on my 2007 Honda ST1300 PA. The P is for police, the A is for anti-lock brakes. This was a retired San Bernardino Police Department's motor. They took possession of it February of 08. That's what the registration says. And they auctioned it off February of 18. So evidently they keep them 10 years. It logged 58,000 miles as a police motor. I purchased it through online auction from a company called Hollywood Motors. I will do a video about Hollywood Motors. I'm not very satisfied with their ways of doing business, but that is for another video. One of the many things that I disliked about Hollywood Motors is when I bid and won the bid for this motorcycle, it was clear that the bike was full of scratches. And I knew that going into it, but I didn't pay huge money for it, and I have the ability to touch up scratches, or if I need to, repaint it. What happened though, between the time that I saw the pictures and bid on it and won it and took possession of it, some Einstein in their service shop or whatever decided to touch up all of those scratches with, I'm not sure if that is latex paint, correction fluid, or whatever, and it just looks horrible. It looks worse than the scratches, and it's not even white. You can see that it's like a light gray, or that's what it appears like. And it's like the scratch was like this hairline, but their repair is like 3/8 of an inch wide. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. So I wish they wouldn't have done that, because then you got to take it all off so that you can make a better repair or a better touch-up. So this morning, there's a lot of scratches on the front fender. I used lacquer thinner to remove that touch-up, hard to call it paint, but that's what we'll call it, that they used to touch this stuff up. Every panel on this thing is beat. I mean, they use these hard, you know what I mean? Mechanically, she's in good shape. I did 630 miles on it a couple days last weekend, and I love the motorcycle. It runs and rides great. But as with everything, you can't leave them alone. I'm going to run around this side. Maybe the light will be better, because I got the doors open. It's a beautiful day here. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to get that stuff off of there. If you run across a situation like me, where somebody's touched it up and did such a horrible job that you got to remove the touch-up before you can touch it up correctly. So we're going to use lacquer thinner. Nothing more than just lacquer thinner. We're going to just wipe it on. Lacquer thinner works a little bit all by itself, and you can kind of just soak it in. But whatever they use is such poor quality that it just doesn't take much to remove this touch-up so-called paint that was on it. And quite honestly, I would have much rather had nothing than this touch-up paint. It looks better without it. Oh man, what a mess. Anyway, I mean, it's almost not even worth touching up what's left here. Holy smokes. Okay, well, you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to bother touching much of that up after that. What else we got to take a little bit off of here? I know there was some on this side of the gas tank. Let's see if I can zoom you in there a little bit so you can see some of that. See that nastiness? Let's take that off. Some of this is actually clear coat coming off too. It's not just touch-up paint. And once again, that touch-up looked worse than the scratch. We're making improvements, just getting rid of that stuff. Okay, the last one, let me drop you down here. We'll look at this saddlebag. This saddlebag, right there. Zoom you back out. Have a look at that. So let's go after that, try to get this off of there. And what I did is stop by the auto parts store and picked up some universal white. I've been online a couple times this week trying to find touch-up paint for this particular bike, and all I find for a 2007 ST1300 is the silver. Must have been their most popular color, and possibly the white was reserved for police only. And for whatever reason, I can't find the correct touch-up paint for this white. Can it's starting to run low. And once again, quite honestly, the scratches are not as bad as the touch-up paint. Hideous it is. So I knew I was buying, you know, a rig that had been used and abused, probably dropped a bunch of times. But I was okay with that. I'm going to use it. And I used to ride Goldwing motorcycles, and I somehow think I've spent as many hours cleaning and polishing as riding, trying to keep them at their best. And I vowed not to do that with this next bike. Let's just get one that's already a little scuffed up and just ride it. Not worry too much about keeping it pristine. However, I just can't stand this mess. And it's time to do something different with it. It's a little bit harder to take off than whatever they used on the front. Evidently it wasn't the same. There's also still some residue on this bag from their decals, whatever they had on it. I still have some of that to deal with, and part of this might have been damage they did getting decals off of it, which, looking at how much expertise they had in the touch-up paint department, might lead me to wonder how much expertise they had removing decals. What's that left? Paint or what? Okay, that one's good. Kind of using my thumbnail there a little bit. Get the last bit of that off in there. Okay, I got a little more to do down there, but get the idea. I'm going to finish cleaning up this bag and the residue. And the residue down here where the police decals or department decals and stuff were. So I pretty much have this stuff off of there. And I'll be able to touch that up way better than they did. I'll go to work on this a little bit, and we'll come back when we start doing some touch-up paint. And then we'll have to let that touch-up paint cure for a while. We can come back and polish this out a little bit. Again, trying to make it better, not trying to make it perfect. Okay, we'll back in a minute. So the universal white touch-up paint that I bought isn't so universal. It's almost as off as the color I just took off. So I went to my shelf of spray paint and found some Rust-Oleum that is a much brighter white. I'm using the brush, however, out of the kit because it's a nice fine brush. So the worst scratch on the whole bike is this one right on the corner of the right saddlebag. So we're touching it up. Paint from a spray can, of course I just sprayed it into the cap, is thinned for spraying, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And this is not going to cover in one coat, so we'll have to come back and go over it. But it's not so thick that it's all blobby. Is that a word? Blobby? Like what I just took off. And we're only getting paint inside the scratch mark. We're not going over the whole thing, but there's a big blob. I'm gonna have to wipe that off. Touching up. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and I'll check back with you in a sec. Well, I'm continuing the touch-up process here. It's going okay. Remember, the goal here is to fill that scratch with paint. Without getting it everywhere, and then we're going to come back once that paint is cured, and we'll take some like 1500 grit sandpaper, sand her down, polish it out, and this will kind of go away. Not like it's going to be perfect. Going to be better. Now I have my wife's car got run into by a shopping cart probably in a parking lot and put a scratch down both doors. Very noticeable. I am taking it to a professional here in a couple weeks. I ordered the correct touch-up paint, and they think they can do something with it, so I hope that they can, because I'm sure it'd be $600-700 or something to paint those doors. The car's not very old, so I'm trying to keep it looking its best. Takes a steady hand here. Just trying to fill that void. Remember, you can always come back and hit her again, or fight it too hard. I found when doing this corner that by the time I was finished, it was already tacky, and I went back and hit it a second coat right away, with the idea that it would fill up the voids, you know, the little paint voids, and try to smooth it out, and it did. Just kind of running the brush around these little chips. Got paid $15-16 for the touch-up paint that turned out to be universal white. It's not very universal. Must be 50 shades of white, right? At least I'm using the brush. I got something for it. Brush is pretty good. Little to go. And finish up the saddlebag. Okay. I might hit some of those a second time real quick, but that's it for this. We'll move on to the front fender. Well, kind of a mess up here. See what happens. It's a little rough down there. Okay. It is what it is. Okay, I think we'll do a follow-up on this when after this stuff all cures out and I get a chance to wet sand it down and polish it just to see how it comes out in the end. But other than that, that's how we're touching this thing up. She's all beat up, but she's got a lot of miles left in it, so we'll make it happen. Thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. A little bonus footage. I just got back from fueling it up for tomorrow. I'm taking the experienced rider course with Team Oregon. If you haven't taken, no, not experienced rider course, advanced rider course at Pat's Acres Go-Kart Racetrack in Canby, Aurora area of Oregon. Highly recommend the class. This will be the 7th one I think I have taken. So, the touch-up looks good. I improved it a lot. That saddlebag is trashed and will absolutely have to be repainted. But that's a winter project. For now, I'm much happier with the look. I can at least stand it. It's far from perfect, but it's better. That's good. Alright guys, later on.